Hey traders, Jason Leavitt Brothers here. Stan Weinstein's Secrets for Profiting in Bull and Bear Markets. This was the very first book on technical analysis I read when I started trading back in '99 and 2000. In fact, it was the very first book on trading, period, not even just technical analysis. And it is still the first book I recommend when people ask me, what book should I read? It is that good, it is that foundational. It was written back in the 80s, so the quality of the charts are not very good. He talks about stocks and companies that don't even exist anymore, but the quality of the content is top-notch, and I highly recommend it. If you're new at trading, it's definitely the first book I recommend. Even if you've been trading, it's a good book to serve as a reminder. It is the type of book that I read every couple of years just to kind of get me back on track. Weinstein was a longer-term swing trader. He liked stocks that traded in a base on a weekly chart and then would break out of the base, and he would buy those and hold those for a couple months. He was the guy who talked about different stages of a chart, where a stock would base, it would advance, it would top, or form some sort of distribution period, and then it would head down. Any book that has talked about those four stages since in the last 30 years are getting it from this book. He warned about being consistent, and he warned about style drift. He talks about making money even though your winning percentage is less than 50%. He talks about being in harmony with the longer term trend. Okay, so we have a tendency to zoom in on shorter term charts, but he talks about, hey, keep the longer term trend in mind, which is why he used the weekly charts a lot. He talked about having clean, simple, neat charts, which for him back then was relatively easy because he didn't have access to the computers that we have access to today. It's a good message for today's traders who tend to clutter up their charts. He talks about the ideal time to buy, which is different for traders versus investors. He talks about having a somewhat mechanical system, because otherwise your emotions will get the best of you and you'll end up panicking and buying at the high or panicking and selling at the low. He talks about looking at the overall trend, identifying the groups that are the strongest within that trend, and then drilling down within those groups to find the best stocks, something we do today. He talks about dealing with losses. He talks about selling, which is something that a lot of books nowadays shy away from. He warns against thinking too highly of yourself when you have a good trade, or thinking too lowly of yourself when you have a bad trade. We've all made a trade, it goes in our favor, and we think we're geniuses. We've all made a trade and had them go against us, and we think we're idiots. And he warns against this. He talks about having a system, sticking with it, judging yourself based on, did you stick with your plan as opposed to what the result is. He talks about the internals, the advanced decline line, new highs, new lows, the high-low differential. It is a great book. It is the first book I recommend to all traders, especially if you're new, and even if you've been trading for a little while and haven't quite gotten over the hump. This is a book that can get you over the hump. And even if you're pretty successful, this is a good book just to kind of get you back on track once in a while. I consider it really good. To me, it's a foundational book. I consider it a must-read. And again, it's the first book I recommend to anybody who wants to trade in the market. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.